That's the way the original.
which is fine. We're messing with it. We are messing with what he said, which is to do it for his
Which is to what?
do it for his both times.
Ah. I understand.
Good morning. It's so great to be here with all of you and all of you who chose to stay out of the rain online. I don't see anybody out. Oh, yep, there's folks out there. All right, brave souls. Welcome. My name is Tony Fisher. I serve this congregation as minister, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. So grateful to have you all with us this morning. I have gratitude for the sun and the rain and the thunder. I'm glad that everybody here made it in anyway. There's a few waterlogged folks coming in right now. I'm grateful for all those who made the previous two services possible. Our worship associates and our music team, including Stu Shelton, who was here a couple of weeks ago. These two wonderful people who just make my life a lot easier. We have Dan Goodset and friend in the AV room this morning. And all our speakers. The Pride service, if you were here, was truly incredible, beautiful, and Steve Espinosa did a wonderful job just pulling that together. And Joanne hosted Sharon Harris Ewing last week, and I watched that service as well. Truly good. So you've been gifted, and now the second string comes back, and I'm glad to be here. A couple of announcements. Next week's service is a question service. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask, stump the minister or whatever, I hope that you'll send me a question in advance or bring it with you next Sunday, and we'll see how that service goes. I have a lot of questions, but here's the deal. If you don't bring any questions next Sunday, I'm going to talk about General Assembly all morning, which maybe some of you would like to hear about. So we'll do that at some point as well. Question Sunday next service, and after the service next Sunday, Janet Hoffman will be hosting Living Room Conversations, which you've read about, I hope, in the newsletter. It is going to be a really rich conversation and an understanding and an ability to have those conversations in a similar format to our Chalice Circles, but obviously with a larger group. Living Room Conversations is an opportunity to build community and deepen connections through conversation. So next Sunday after the service at Thomas Hall at 11:45, registration is required. So Janet knows how many folks are coming. So if you'd like to attend, check out the newsletter, call the office, and sign up. You'll look forward to that. And Abby has an announcement.
After that, also next Sunday at 3 o'clock, I have the great pleasure of accompanying our own Jane Mitchell, who's a wonderful violist, for an afternoon of viola music. We will be sending something out in the email to give you a little more details, but the parts that I know I'm playing are some Prokofiev and some Mozart and some Telemann and Schumann, and there are a couple of other pieces. There's a violinist, and Eric is going to grace us with some clarinet playing on the Mozart. I'm really looking forward to playing with Jane, and I hope to see you there. It is a free concert at 3 o'clock next Sunday. Thanks.
Great, awesome. Wonderful, and also wonderful is our worship associate, Diane Keys. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, and welcome again. Thank you guys for coming out in this weather. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching us on Facebook Live, at home or sitting out on the pavilion, or if you have found another time to watch the recorded service on Facebook or YouTube, greetings. Please know that you're always welcome here. Ours is a welcoming community, freeing, seeking spiritual and intellectual growth. We strive to create a larger community of peace, justice, and love by living our values out in the world. If you are new to our congregation, please make yourself known to us and join us for coffee and conversation out on the patio after the service. Well, it's covered, so you won't get wet. Our hope is to make you feel welcome and help you find ways to connect. If you have found us online for the first time, we hope that you'll email us at office@uunaples.org so that we can include you in our email news blast and let you know about all the interesting things that are happening here at UUCGN. Now, please take a deep breath and let's settle in for the service with this morning's prelude.
Songs invite these spacious fields of brilliant light, where sun and the moon and the planets roll, and stars that glow from pole to pole. Sun, moon, and stars convey thy praise round the whole earth and never stand. So when thy truth began its race, it touched and glanced on every hand.
With grateful hearts, we have come together to bask once again in the warmth of community, to share with friends the stories we've been holding for too long, to look again into one another's eyes and find there a balm for our souls. We join together this morning, as always, to regain our center and rekindle the spirit of justice. We come here to be together because this is how we believe life is best lived, in gratitude and in joy, in compassion and in service, in companionship and in love. It is good to be together. Let's celebrate our interdependence. Please join me in the chalice lighting words you'll see on your screen. We ignite this flame, symbol of our free faith, to beckon us into community, warm our hearts with love, and give us a light to follow as we carry our faith into action. And rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn. It's number 40 in the gray hymnal, "The Morning Hangs a Signal."
The morning hangs a signal upon the mountain crest, while all the sleeping valleys in silent darkness rest. From peak to peak it flashes, it laughs along the sky, till glory of the sunlight on all land shall lie. Above the generation when dawn becomes the morning, when the prophets love proclaim, the soul has lifted moments above the drift of days, when life's great meaning breaketh in sunrise on our ways. Behold the radiant token of faith above all fear. Night shall release its splendor, on morning shall appear.
Be seated. So I have to admit to you that I was preparing a service of stories, and we will get to stories a little bit later. Stories related to Independence Day, to the birthing of our nation, and sort of a nice summer service, if you will. But the world keeps happening out there. And I know that last week, Sharon Harris Ewing sort of acknowledged in the beginning of her service where we are and listed much that we are experiencing, much that we are thinking about and are being anxious about. But this past week, things kept happening. And so I need to begin by first acknowledging two things that will, I think, terribly hurt this nation, this beautiful nation that was born 249 years ago. The passage of a bill that is meant, I think, to try and create a great America again. An America that was really never, great, but always that was our goal. And a bill that will harm far too many people. Far too many people will suffer. People may die because of this bill. And I think that we need to be cognizant of that and realize that even though we may have provided some effort in trying to keep that from happening, it wasn't enough, and that we are in a moment that we also need to pick up our game. The other thing that's been going on, and we're all aware of it, is the detention center that's being built within our county, but on Dade County land by the governor. A prison, a detention center that can't be anything but a horrible execution of people, a horrible place to be in the heat, in the sun, in the mosquito-ridden, wet area of the Everglades, down in the southwest corner of our county. If you wrote to the county commissioners, you heard from maybe a couple of them that, not our business, we don't have anything to do with this. And so, obviously, they did not speak up in opposition to this. But, and this is something that will be ongoing, that we will have to be aware of, that is already happening, that people are there, people are being detained there. And the folks that have done this, that have created this, have forgotten the stories of people, of individuals, of individual lives. People that they are pursuing so rigorously and stashing away so cruelly in order to erase their presence in our nation. All the things that they feel as individuals are the same that we feel. Their dreams, their hopes, their desires, their regrets, their sorrows, their hopes. This nation, or its leadership, has lost touch with their humanity. They have forgotten the most important lessons taught by that person whom they say they revere, that religious leader that they say they follow. They have forgotten the golden rule. They are deliberately dehumanizing people so they can treat them inhumanely and erase them from our nation's reality. By working to erase migrants, LGBTQ people, black and brown people, women, anything other than white men. They are doing exactly what generations before in many places around the world have tried to do in order to achieve their goal of power and wealth and control. But I have to tell you that I do not believe that it will ultimately succeed. I am an optimist. But I believe this country is too grand, too great. There are too many people who feel the way that we do, and that we just need to reach out and make those connections, and that we will ultimately be heard. And in the meantime, we will have to suffer what we have been suffering and acknowledge that folks are suffering much worse than any one of us. The prelude this morning was by William Billings, who wrote Chester in the middle of the Revolutionary War in 1778. His words for that hymn, not the beautiful words that Philip Doddridge wrote, but Billings' words were, "Let tyrants shake their iron rod and slavery clank its galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God." And in typical New England fashion, New England's God shall ever reign. But what we're facing is tyranny. That's what we're facing right now. John Adams, in about 1818, was reflecting back on the American Revolution, talked about the fact that the revolution, the real revolution, did not happen between 1775 and 1783. It happened before that, when the will of the people changed. Those people, the majority of whom came from England and who had loyalty to their homeland and to the people and to the language, they had to go through a significant transformation in order to rise up against that authority, that tyranny. And they did so because of repeated efforts by a few people, one of whom was Jonathan Mayhew, a preacher in New England, a Unitarian by theology, though at that point a little earlier than the time when Unitarians were recognized as such. And Mayhew argued from Scripture that though we had a responsibility as individuals to bow to authority, because authorities were put there by God, we do not have a responsibility to bow to an authority, a government, an institution that has lost its way. Government is supposed to serve the common good, he said. And when a government ceases to do that, then the people have the right to rise up and not serve that particular body, but try to establish something that does serve the common good. Mayhew, there was a book written about Mayhew in 2017 that called him the father of American liberty. Of course, there are probably about 100 people who have that title next to their name. But Mayhew was really one of the early people that were talking and was influential. His sermons were read both in New England and down the coast and over in England, and people were aware of what Mayhew and others were writing. And that kind of language, using Scripture, began to shift the American mindset and allowed many of the colonists to decide that shifting and separating from Great Britain was important for their well-being, their common good. The thing that I think I want to say is that this kind of work, and we know it, we've heard it, will not be easy. It can't be easy. There is a government in power that seeks to create more power and more control. And we will all be erased, those of us with liberal thinking, if we do not act. And I know that many of us are of an age where we can't do a lot, but there is things we can do. There are ways we can go to figure out how we reach out and make those connections and make change. We can hope that there are elections in 2026, but we still need to work. We still need to work hard. So I apologize for my little diatribe here, and I appreciate your listening. Let's just sort of take a deep breath and join in singing our centering hymn, Circle Round for Freedom.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us in prison. Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
This is such a welcoming community, and it is so much because of your caring and concern for one another, for your love and attention in times of joy and sorrow. This is a time where we have an opportunity to share within the context of our service. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share, raise your hand. I will bring you the microphone. Tell us your name and briefly what's in your heart. Yep, hold on a sec.
Good morning. My name is Philip Brannon. I'm back after I was ill for a few days. I was over in Physicians Regional Hospital for some time. And while I was there, I want to say after I came back, I got some nice phone calls from Joan Leary and Joan Insel from the Caring Committee. So I was very happy to get those calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a time of just deep despair. We all feel hopeless, helpless. But I've been in Chile in the 1980s, and I know about Pinochet, and I thought, this would never happen in America, but here we are. Anyway, I take great hope from Tony's words, and I have learned that some people worldwide are reaching out to us. One of them is Lech Walesa, he's on tour. He's going to be on tour across this country, and there's some individuals here who are going to try to get him to come. And I don't know, we just do every little thing. Well, that may not be such a small thing, but maybe he can give us some guidance, tell us what they did in Poland.
Thanks, Jeannie.
I'm David Sleeper. I'm the co-chair of our membership committee, and I greet everyone on Sunday morning, and that's my joy. It is so uplifting, and with the joy that I've experienced from all of you, we can change our world. We are a changing agent, and we can do it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. In between raindrops, first of all, I'm Tom Parkhurst and my wife Janice with me. Dodging a few raindrops coming in the parking lot, I thought of something very joyous. I'd like to make a quick announcement that Janet's niece agreed to come and start working in the kitchen. She's a young lady that we've known for a number of years. She likes being around food too, like me, so that's a good thing. But she'll work with us, and she's finishing up the program at Florida Gulf Coast in the medical community, physician's assistance program. So she's a busy gal. So if you get a chance, say hi to her. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Hi, I'm Janet Malozzi. We have a sorrow. A very dear friend of ours I've known since college, longtime UU, just passed away. Our friend played our guitar at our wedding, and our kids all grew up together, and we're going to miss him very much.
Good morning. I'm Ann Fisher. I just want to recognize that this morning, I believe, is the Dalai Lama's birthday, and he's 90 years old. And I think we can take a lot from the leadership he has shown in the time that he and some of his fellow Tibetans have been in exile, and those Tibetans who are still living and not living in what is Tibet, but under the rule of the Chinese and not able to practice their religion. So he is a man of peace. He's a man of finding equanimity despite what he has experienced in living in the world. So maybe we can take something from his lesson.
Hi, my name is Susie Riddle, and my joy is, I was in New Jersey for a couple of weeks, which is a Democratic state. I know we're not supposed to talk politics. And I didn't really see the news, but now I'm back, and I am totally, this is a sorrow too, I am totally appalled about what is going on in the country, and mostly Florida. And I said, how can I live in a state like this? But my joy is that I'm here, even though I'm late. I'm here in this church with like-minded, friendly people that are socially justice active. And I have my friend here, and my friend Philip Brannon is back. So God bless you all, or Spirit of Life bless you all, and I'm really happy to be here with you.
Thanks, Susie.
Hi, I'm Angel, and I'm sort of new here, but my joy is being here with friends and people that I've known for almost my whole life, and may God bless you all.
Thanks, Angel.
My name is Elizabeth Morrell, and what's happened in Alligator Alley is this type of oppression's been going on in other places, rural places like Kentucky, for a very long time. And people there in a healthcare system that either makes them bankrupt or puts them on medication that's not good for them. And hopefully we can reform that. Thank you.
raise my hand. I'm feeling completely overwhelmed. I'll get it together. I am grateful for you and you. You bring me joy. Thank you for showing up today. You are appreciated.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kathy Schneider, and I wanted to share a joy that came up really after the service we had 2 weeks ago, the Pride service, that my joy is that my son was brave enough to have some gender issues, and he dealt with them. And I'm just so proud that he shared it with me. And I support him 100%. Whatever his choices may be, I love him.
I'm Walter Foley, longtime Unitarian, and I have it on good authority, actually the highest authority, that those of you who made it to church this morning now have a free pass to heaven. Despite how many grievous and frequent sins you have committed. That's my joy. It's okay to smile even after all the somber and sober words.
Love, Walt.
I'm Joanne Husky, and like all of you, I'm feeling incredible sorrow about our country, and particularly about what's happening in Alligator Alley. But the joy I have is this, that in this community, this week, we are going to host kids from Immokalee High School and Golden Gate High School whose parents are under great threat. And you have to be proud of what this congregation is doing with Emerson Academy. I'm going to be working with them on Tuesday, and at least I feel like we are doing something. And I'm very proud of this place because of that.
Yeah. Thank you all for your sharing, for your caring. We are grateful for your words. We are grateful for those joys and sorrows, or honoring those joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in your hearts. And know, please, that if you did not speak, we are here for and with you through this time, through your struggles. Let's join together in the spirit of meditation. Spirit of life and love, God of our deepest understanding. In a world that has lost its way, help us remember the depth of our convictions and reconnect with our own reverence for life. Help us stay in touch with our own humanity, our own humility, and the roots of our belonging that hold us close. When we are numbed by anxiety, let us open to compassion. When dread whispers that nothing we do will bring about change, remind us that transformation always comes from within. When things move too fast, let us take that moment to breathe. Let our days be shaped not by our fears, but by the values we hold dear. Finding through those values with the support of a loving community, and from the sacred depths within, the courage to resist tyranny and cruelty. And on this weekend, when our nation celebrates Independence Day, let us honor our interdependence, remembering always that we belong to one another and to the earth, and that we are never, ever alone. Let's share some time in silence.
We are not our own, earth forms us, human leaves on nature's growing vine, fruit of many generations, seeds of life divine. We are not alone, earth names us, past and present peoples near and far, family and friends and strangers, show us who we are. Therefore let us make thanksgiving, and with justice willing and aware, give to earth and all things living liturgies of care.
The Declaration of Independence. In Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness.
Prince Estabrook was an enslaved black man born somewhere around 1740 into the home of Benjamin Estabrook of Lexington, Massachusetts. At the time of the Revolution, he would have been about 35 and one of only a handful of enslaved people remaining in Lexington. He worked alongside the members of the Estabrook family as they cared for their land, their crops, and their livestock. Prince Estabrook was one of the 77 Minutemen who stood on Lexington Green the morning of April 19, 1775, as 700 British regulars approached. Their captain, John Parker, grandfather of Unitarian preacher and abolitionist Theodore Parker, called out to the Minutemen, "Do not fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have war, let it begin here." Ordered to disperse by the British commander, there was some confusion among the ranks as to what to do, but in that moment, a shot rang out. No one knows from where. And the regulars opened fire. By the time the brief exchange had ended, 8 Lexington men lay dead and 9 were injured, including Prince Estabrook, who was shot in the shoulder. He survived and was back in action 3 months later during the Battle of Bunker Hill a couple of months later on the Battle of Bunker Hill on the 17th and 18th of June, where the Lexington militia had been assigned to guard the headquarters of the newly formed Continental Army in Cambridge. Prince Estabrook was among those who stood guard. Estabrook served in the Continental Army until 1783. When he returned to Lexington a free man and rejoined the Estabrook family as a hired hand and lived into his 90s. In 2008, the Lexington Historical Society honored Prince Estabrook with a monument in front of the Buckman Tavern, that place where the militia had gathered before the battle. The inscription reads, "In honor of Prince Estabrook, who was a slave who lived in Lexington. At the dawn on April 1975, he was one of the Lexington Minutemen awaiting the arrival of the British regulars at Buckman Tavern. In the battle which followed, Prince Estabrook was wounded. Through circumstances and destiny, he thus became the first black soldier to fight in the American Revolution. This monument is dedicated to the memory of Prince Estabrook and the thousands of other courageous black patriots long denied the recognition they deserve." Somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 African Americans, free men and slaves, served in the Continental Army and state militias fighting for American independence, almost always at that time serving in integrated units. Excuse me. Deborah Sampson was born on December 17, 1760, in Plimpton, Massachusetts. Her father abandoned the family when Sampson was 5, leaving them in poverty. Deborah was sent to live with relatives, and when they could no longer care for her, she was forced at the age of 10 to become an indentured servant to the Thomas family of Middleborough. Excuse me. As an indentured servant, she was bound to serve the Thomas family until she came to the age of 18, and in exchange for serving them, she was given food, clothing, and shelter. Once she was free, she supported herself by teaching and weaving. On May 23, 1782, at the age of 21, Sampson disguised herself as a man named Robert Shurtleff and enlisted in the Continental Army under the 4th Massachusetts Regiment. She and other new recruits were then marched from Worcester, Massachusetts, to West Point, New York. And while at West Point, Sampson was chosen to serve as part of the light infantry troops, the most active troops in the Hudson Valley from 1782 to 1783. To be inducted into the light infantry troops, she had to meet certain specific requirements, needed to be at least 5 feet 5 inches high, and had to be physically able to keep a fast and steady marching pace. They were referred to as light infantry because they traveled with fewer supplies and took part in small, risky missions and skirmishes. Sampson spent most of her time in the Army in the lower Hudson River Valley, which was neutral territory, and she took part in many skirmishes against Loyalist raiders who were referred to as cowboys. During one of those skirmishes, she too was shot in the shoulder, and unable to seek proper medical treatment without revealing her true gender, she allegedly left a bullet in her shoulder and continued her duty as a soldier. One story has her removing the bullet herself. Sampson served undetected until the late summer of 1783, when she fell unconscious with a high fever while on a mission to Philadelphia. Excuse me. The attending physician, Dr. Barnabas Binney, discovered, sorry, a dry throat. I'm going to leave this up here. Discovered Sampson's gender while treating her. He revealed her identity to the commanding general, and after she had recovered, she was honorably discharged at West Point on October 25th. In 1792, she successfully petitioned the Massachusetts State Legislature for back pay for her service and was awarded £34, which I think was a good amount at that day. She petitioned Congress again, claiming disability for the shoulder wound she received, but her pension was denied. Starting in March of 1802, Sampson began a lecture tour. of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New York, and she was the first woman in America to do so. She died in Sharon, Massachusetts on April 29th, 1827, at the age of 66. She is one of the earliest examples of a woman serving in the United States military, and her headstone in Sharon honors this accomplishment, referring to her as the female soldier. Today, there's a statue of Deborah Sampson outside the Sharon Public Library. And of course, Deborah Sampson was only one of thousands of women who served the cause of independence. Only a few, like Deborah, tried to help by seeking to serve as men. Most stayed at home and worked to keep the homestead together and functioning. Some followed their husbands as they moved with their units, almost always providing essential services and care for the injured. Three years into the Revolutionary War, the Continental Army was low on discipline, morale, and food. And George Washington knew he needed some help. At the suggestion of Benjamin Franklin, whose travels in Europe had allowed him to meet many interesting people, Washington invited Friedrich von Steuben to come to America and help get the army in shape. Von Steuben had been a personal aide to Frederick the Great of Prussia, but had been dismissed due to a shakeup in Frederick's inner circle. He was known to be a keen military thinker, and he was also known to be gay. Franklin obviously didn't think that piece of information had any impact on his qualifications, and Washington, after he had met von Steuben, wrote, "He appears to be much of a gentleman, and as far as I have the opportunity of judging, a man of great military knowledge and acquainted with the world." When von Steuben arrived in camp, he was appalled by the conditions the soldiers had been fighting under, and immediately set to work drilling soldiers with strict Prussian techniques. Though strict drill master, he was not overly harsh, and he was quick to praise when the soldiers did well. As Inspector General, he taught the Army more efficient fighting techniques and helped instill the discipline that they sorely needed. Excuse me. As Inspector, the drill manual he wrote for the Army is still partially in use today. And von Steuben also proved himself, a heroic addition to the Army as it encountered the British. So the drill master quickly became one of Washington's most trusted advisors, eventually serving as his chief of staff. Though often forgotten, von Steuben is now considered instrumental in helping the Americans win the Revolutionary War. The Declaration of Independence proved problematic. Thank you, Joanne. You got a lozenge there? That's good, too. I am well cared for. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't want to break either of these things. Thank you, thank you. Advertisement for Ricola. That should help. Sorry. The Declaration of Independence proved problematic for many in the colonies. Aside from those who were still loyal to the Crown, there were folks like the Quakers whose beliefs led them to a life dedicated to nonviolence. They were concerned about the Declaration of Independence. And though not Quaker, two of the members of the Continental Congress argued against the Declaration, urging for reconciliation and negotiation. Some Quakers remained loyal throughout the war. Some chose to show their resistance by advocacy and boycotts. Some volunteered in other ways. Some took a more active role and as such, were asked to leave the Friends community wherever they were if they were helping with work that was beyond sort of the general help and perhaps helping in moving soldiers and arms. The Quakers had to endure much criticism for their neutrality as people began to go to war. And some had to face the issue quite directly. Nathaniel Greene, who was born in 1742 and raised in the Rhode Island Society of Friends, found himself during the early years of before the Revolution aligning more and more with the discontent within the colonies. And it was this interest that eventually led him to the military, a choice which was in direct conflict with his religious upbringing, and he was asked, in fact, to leave the community. Ultimately, through his own hard work and skill and intelligence, he became another of Washington's trusted generals and was given command of the Southern War. During that time, he found himself in a battle in Guilford, Virginia, I believe, or North Carolina. And he was facing the British. Guilford was a center of Friends community, a New Garden Friends, and he found himself having to ask the Friends there to help with the injured and to help with other aspects of the battle that were nonviolent. And as the British had also asked the New Garden Friends to do the same, the New Garden Friends complied with both parties and gave succor to all the injured in the same way. And Nathaniel Greene found himself thinking about his religion and how he had come to that moment. And ultimately was very grateful and wrote a letter to the Friends of New Garden, thanking them heartily for their help in that conflict. We as individuals in this society, in this time today, are also made up of so many different kinds of people with so many different stories, black and brown and white, of all different religions, of all different backgrounds. And it is together that we achieve success, as it was during the American Revolution, whether or not you believe in violence. Our work as an interdependent group of people is critical at all times, but especially in this time when tyrants reign once again. It took all sorts of people, as I said, to stand up to tyranny, and it will continue to be true. Diane. Thank you.
Now is the time for us to express our gratitude for this community, its work, its vision, and all the ways in which it nourishes our lives, from its welcoming doors and sheltering walls to its good and generous people. From the sanctuary of its memorial garden to its outreach in the wider community. For all these things and for all the ways it works in your life, the morning's offering for this ongoing mission of this congregation will be gratefully appreciated. We thank you so much for your generosity. For those online, please consider mailing a contribution today. The address is here on the screen, or you can go to www.uunaples.org, where you'll find a donate button and where you can find out a lot more about this congregation. The ushers will gratefully receive today's offerings. Thank you so much. Stars and Stripes. Go ahead.
That was great. Who celebrates the 4th of July as a birthday? One person. Oh. Happy birthday, Vincent. Good to see you. For many of us who have celebrated the July 4th and the Stars and Stripes over the course of our lives, it feels odd to have grief and shame mixed in with the pride we have long felt for our nation. We love our country, not because we believe it to be perfect, not because we are unaware of the significant issues it has failed to address throughout its history, but because we have always believed in its promise and in the ideals that we believed were at the core of our democracy. Most of us have understood that those ideals call us to participate in some way to the continual birthing of our society. We have a responsibility to build on the idea of beloved community where we are all in this together and where all means all. The United States of America has always been an ideal, an experiment in the making. It is true from the beginning that the reality of slavery and the exclusion of well over half of the population from active citizenship undercut those ideals and skewed the experiment in ways that we are still trying to come to terms with. And yet, over the course of our 250 years, almost 250 years, since the Declaration of Independence, people in this nation have worked continually, by whatever means at hand, to expand the meanings of freedom and justice to include more and more people. Those of us who are alive today, we are the beneficiaries of their work, and ours is the responsibility to keep the experiment going and to build on those ideals. And so even as the knowledge of our past failures and grief at the harm and cruelty being wrought today, let's remember that we are not our own, but part of an interdependent web of existence that calls us to be true and steadfast to our own mission, and I believe the nation's underlying ideals of building an ever-widening community of peace, justice, and love. Happy birthday, America. Let's rise in body and spirit and sing our closing hymn, One More Step, number 168, Gray Hymnal.
One more step, we will take one more step till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word, one more prayer. We will say one more prayer till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Go out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good. Return no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings. Have a wonderful day.